Mark, with these last couple of days, what are some of the maybe last-minute housekeeping duties that you guys do these last 2 days, besides practice today?
Yeah, just mainly getting fresh, making sure our legs are 100% go, which I think our guys they're in excellent condition, and that's probably a combination of mindset, confidence, being refreshed, feeling refreshed, and getting ready to crank it out at game speed.
You ever get to this point where you wish that maybe you had another week or another few days?
No, I mean I think that may have happened in the past, but we're right on course. I think we'll be when it's kickoff, we'll be ready for kickoff.
What makes you feel that way? What makes you that confident? Just the way the camp's gone all together?
The way the camp's gone together, the way the guys have worked, the way the veteran guys have coached the younger guys, and this group of young guys is the best. It's kind of the most advanced that I've ever been around. And so that's encouraging, and the I say older guys, but it's been some of the even redshirt freshmen helping those younger guys just get indoctrinated into kind of our culture, and then also help them with the nuances of offense, of defense, of special teams, of how we train, of how we recover. All that has been really good, and we'll have a Friday practice tomorrow and get ready to kick it off on Saturday.
Is this team ready for Saturday's season opener?
We will be ready on Saturday. Yeah, I think you can get amped up. Guys get amped up too much 2 weeks ago, and there'll be guys but I think our mindset's good. I think I'm saying in the past, there's guys that are amped up today, but the game isn't today. The game's on Saturday night, and Saturday's a long day, and we try to fill that with as much stuff that kind of helps calm them down, but again, aim and ramp up toward that kickoff time.
Have you seen this team a little too amped up at times in seasons past, and do you think this season is any different indication right now?
No, I don't think I've either one of those things. I mean, there's guys that are certainly anxious. There are guys that are very anxious to kick it off, but that's where you just have to calm them down and talk through the process, and we tell our guys to work when it's time to work and recover when it's time to recover.
Do you have any kind of
step up this summer leadership-wise that you didn't expect that from them?
There's so many guys on our team that we do expect it from, and did a great job. Taradni Prevost has been a guy in camp that has been outstanding as a leader. That is a younger player that maybe people wouldn't expect. I think Eric Armstead has really learned how to work and learned how to practice, and because of that has led a bunch of guys just because he's such an imposing dude, and he's practiced so well, practiced so hard and so well. But everybody else, the Keenan Lowe's, Marcus Mariotas, all those guys did a really good job of leading and themselves getting better.
What are the goals for this team going into the season?
Well, we talk constantly about win a day and take care of each other. And, there's a lot of other things that obviously, you're talking about from a physical standpoint, a mindset standpoint, all the other stuff we kind of talk about internally. Obviously everybody's goal is to win every game and win the national championship, but we can't, control that. So control our process and have everybody bought into the process, and so far so good on that account.
Speaking of buying in, game by game, never looking ahead type of thing has been the mantra for years here. How is this team buying into that?
Been awesome. They've been awesome. I think we've had the last couple days really good mental work. Today in particular was excellent. The coaches weren't involved. It was all players, and that's when we want the volume to turn up. It should be louder when just the players are out there communicating, and it was. And so that's encouraging. And again, our guys, and I think that's a byproduct again of how we treat everybody the same. Our process leading up to kick is the same, and I haven't noticed one iota of anything other than that.
Are you usually guarded about praising freshmen too much before they're on the field, and what does that say about Royce that everyone's just glowing about him before he's played?
Yeah, no, I was laughing about that the other day. I did a Portland function, and the first guy that somebody talked about was Royce Freeman, and so it's a little unfair to both him and some of the other guys, but he's worked tremendously hard and has earned some of those oohs and ahs, but we're excited to see a lot of those guys play. There's a lot of young players that we're very excited about, and it's a very exciting time because there's a ton of young talent on both sides of the ball. It's just unproven, so they're probably we'll have a couple zigs when they should have zagged on Saturday, and they'll learn from it, and move on.
Do you ever have any worry, any concern about these kinds of games, these early season games where the game gets out of hand too quick sometimes? Oregon puts up so many points. And is there ever any worry in your mind that maybe some of these starters, some of these veterans get hurt too easily when somebody gets a little sloppy with the way they play?
First of all, I hope that's a worry. I hope that's a situation where that's a worry. I think more of that comes. It already would have happened. Just in preparation, when you're working toward an opponent that somebody says that about, that would have already shown itself. And it hasn't. And so I think up to this point, so far so good. And our guys, if they're not chomping at the bit to play the opener, it's a new season, our fans, our stadium, then there's something wrong with them.
A lot of young receivers. Talk about your confidence level in those guys.
Extremely confident. I'm extremely confident in those guys right now. It's again a group that is unproven. They're extremely talented. They are extremely young, but ton of playmakers in that group that have not only made plays with the ball in their hand, but without the ball in their hand on special teams. So it's a great group of football players. There's a bunch of tough guys in there too, and that helps you. That helps your depth a lot.
My dad says that every football staff should have a drill sergeant as one of their coaches, a guy that really shouts them down. Who would be that drill sergeant on your staff?
I think there's a couple of those guys. Mr. Jacobson would be happy about that. There's different guys at different time. Defensively, I think really all those guys have taken that role at some point. Offensively, I think it rotates, probably among me and Frosty and Wood. So yeah, there's a few guys. Yeah.
Nice. You mentioned the youth at wide receiver. Is there a certain level of excitement for you as coaches to see what those guys can do now that they're going to be on the field?
Absolutely. That's obviously everybody's question coming into it, since we don't have a lot of returning production, is where's that going to come from, and to watch these guys work, man, it's exciting, and we've got some pretty good corners, and one of our best matchups in fall camp has been there's George Horton. Got to wave for George Horton. One of the best matchups all fall camp has been Efo and Darren Carrington, and Darren's had a great camp. And again, all those young guys. It's just now time to play, and we'll see what shakes out.
You mentioned the late 7:30 kickoff. Also, what do you guys plan to keep the guys on the uphill climb to the game, but then also relax if you're talking about?
Yeah, we have kind of a protocol that we have for earlier kicks versus later kicks, and we'll stick to that. We'll have some kind of different availability of movies, of college football, of game film. There's kind of every team is a little bit different, or every guy, individual on a team is a little bit different in how they get their mind right, and we'll do the same thing we've done.
Back to that Efo Darren matchup in fall camp. What about that did you see? What could you explain about that matchup between the two that you liked?
It was awesome, highly competitive. They were mad the other day when I was starting a one-on-one drill, and all the DBs weren't over yet, and Efo was finishing up in a tackling drill, and we started the drill with Darren going against somebody else, and he was mad, and so they had a good little back and forth, and again, that kind of stuff. When your best player in that realm, Efo, in that situation is that competitive every rep, that's contagious, and we had some really good back and forth in all those deals, whether it was 1-on-1, 3-on-2, whatever the situation was.
You've got a lot of oars on the depth chart. Do those get figured out now in games, or do you still evaluate in practice? Figuring out starters?
Yeah, both, and that's ongoing. People act like we're not making decisions. That's every oar on our depth chart is a good thing. And again, I've been places where that wasn't a good thing. It's, Rick Springfield or Hope somebody else. AJ Jacobson maybe be the other guy. But our tailback situation is great, and those guys have all practiced better since we kind of talked them through that stuff. The tight ends have practiced better since that was made, and so it's a good situation.
You have some guys who haven't played games, and being against guys who have. How much do you take that game experience into consideration?
A little bit, yeah. I think part of that is what you said earlier. Once you're into the games and maybe roles are established a little bit more, certainly with a guy that you have more a guy with more experience, you're going to be able to do some different things offensively than you would with a first-time guy, whether it's protections for the running back or just different combinations of things you do. You certainly take that into account.
Do you see anything different between like maybe a freshman who's making his first start and a JC guy who's making his first start for Oregon here?
There should be, but there might not be. There's some guys. We have some very mature young guys, very very mature true freshmen. In some cases, more mature than junior college guys. No names to be mentioned, but and that's okay. That's okay. We just want them to play great and be great, productive members of the team.
Is it okay for some of those JC guys to have kind of those first game jitters?
Oh, yeah. Hey, Ethel will have first game jitters. Marcus will have first game jitters. Everybody be out there with a little different anxiety level than they do in training. We try to ramp it up as much as possible. We can't recreate, the electricity of Autzen Stadium or insert stadium name here. And so that's why we try to do that as much as possible, make it as much of a controlled chaos type of situation as possible, and then manage that kind of anxiety in the game.